next comes the need. This is a call that I made internationally through my publication right there, because the Institute of Ireland, the Linguistics Institute of Ireland approached me and said, would you like to do something similar as what we did for Canada and Africa and Israel? I said, sure, but you'd like to do it for the United States of America, some projects that will tackle this issue of language resources and the need for raise the awareness for people to start to think about this. I said, sure. So I did this, and this is see if I can access that. I don't know what's happening. Oh, it's coming. This is the issue of that journal. So feel free to, in fact, we have 3 scholars from ESU who contributed with me and sent their articles to be reviewed, and they were accepted. And I was a guest editor along with Dr. McCogan from Ireland. So you can see here's one of my articles is here. And the last one is here as an editor, special guest editor of that project. And Dr. Miller, not Marie, but Katrina Miller. She is in the Department of Psychology and Rehabilitation, I believe. Yes. She was also contributing to that, and she got her piece was accepted and published. She did one on American Sign Languages. And Dr. Shengi Manjula also did one on Hindi, the Hindi language, situation with Hindi in the United States. So, I just want to share that with you. Some concluding remarks here. The French, and you can correct me, Alex, because Monsieur Alexandre Pommard is with us here from France, our scholar, our French scholar. Correct me if I'm wrong. The French have this saying that says there are 2 types of acquisition: l'acquisition par choc et l'acquisition par imagination. What does that mean? That means that humans in general, they learn either through shock or through imagination. So, what happened in this country, unfortunately, it has become like a pattern. We need a war to know about Iraq. We need a 9/11 to know that languages are important. We know, oh my goodness. So how many wars do we need then? And how many 9/11s if we are going to go that way? We can just look at how the world is working. All over the world, languages and multilingual education is fostered, is supported, is planned for. And there is no such a thing like, for example, in Morocco, Arabic is the official language. But we also have Berber. You know what Berber is? It's the language of the natives, the indigenous people in North Africa. All North Africa spoke Berber. 6,000 years ago, they were the ones living there. And then we came as guests, the Arabs. We came in peace, true. There was no bloody nothing. We got married. We started to do trade and business. And we, in fact, in that area of the world, we had witnessed during the era of what we call the Dark Ages in Europe. At that point in Morocco, the Kingdom of Morocco was actually ruling half of Africa and up to the what we call now Spain, Andalusia. And at that time, multilingualism and multiculturalism was flourishing. And everything was fine. So there are 2 types of acquisition. There is l'acquisition par choc and l'acquisition par imagination. So we have to think about that and say, well, I think we have many examples of successful societies that have utilized multilingualism and multiculturalism as an asset, as a capital So we should use that also in this country. And I am very optimistic that's going to happen, and it's happening perhaps. So again, language carries valuable information about society and culture of its speakers. If the language disappears, important cultural knowledge is gone. And that culture or knowledge is usually linked to some environmentally safe and appropriate practices. So once that is gone, we got problems. So I hope that's something that can be taken into consideration. Some references for you at the end here. And thank you very much. Shukran, merci, gracias. I don't want to take too much of your time. I think I'm over time, perhaps. Questions, discussion, we can also, if we have time, perhaps.
A question or comment.
Yes,
do you know or are you aware of the research involved with magnet schools? I know in Kansas City we have friends whose two girls went to a French immersion school from kindergarten through high school.
Yes.
So they had kind of the opposite problem. When they went home, they couldn't speak to their parents because their parents did not speak French. They chose to put the children into a school like that so that they would become bilingual. Is there any movement to try to reproduce these specialized magnet schools that only exist in large cities?
Yeah, unfortunately, they only exist in large cities.
Yeah.
There was an excellent, and there are some efforts in Emporia. Recently, the school district got a FLAP, which is a foreign language assistance program, and they are developing a Spanish program that will start from kindergarten and on. And my daughter is part of that, and it's great. They will move from kindergarten to first grade and move on with a dual language type of program. The Riverside in Emporia had that experience, and for some reason, when I asked, they told me that they had no funds. They couldn't find qualified teachers. I couldn't buy that, to be honest with you, because I know that there are qualified people, and there are ways we could, do that. So they started the dual language at the Riverside, for example, elementary school, but then it kind of was forgotten. Wichita has one also. There's another example there. And of course, Kansas City, big cities. Yes?
I had a question about, and it is relative to my own heritage language, which is Norwegian, which is being tremendously modified by English and by the importation of English words, because our own language is so limited in its vocabulary that, particularly as an academic language, it's virtually useless. And so how much is that a factor in the transformation of language, that one's heritage language may in fact be inadequate? So, and I was especially thinking about relative to the question about how many yeses there were to the answer, do you choose English in order to communicate better? The answer to that in some ways would be yes, but it depends very much on the context in which you're communicating.
True. It will depend on the context, but also we have to understand that language is tied with people who speak it. We cannot blame any language. All languages are equal, by the way. If I hear somebody says, this language is really simple, is inferior, is the problem. I said, oh, don't say that, because that's not true. For example, non-standard English, for example. Non-standard English or black vernacular English, as compared to standard English, for example. There are some people who believe that I don't have nothing is ungrammatical. They are judging it from the perspective of a standard English. All right. Now, how come that this dialect became standard and this one didn't? What are the forces or the factors that contributed to that? First of all, we have to understand that that is motivated by political and economic reasons. People had access to power and to money and to richness. They were able to write books of grammar as references, and they established that as the norm. Well, if the other folks had the same access, they could have done the opposite, meaning that their non-standard form became the standard or the norm. So when you say, I don't have nothing, that becomes the standard, and then I don't have anything is a non-standard. It's arbitrariness, the arbitrariness of language. Now, back to the question of the nature of a given language. Each language has its own richness, depending on the context where it was developed, created. It was created by the same human mind. So Norwegian, for example, was created by humans who are equal to those humans who created or developed English. Now, what happens is that language is tied with so many other factors. So, for example, Norwegian could and will, and perhaps is already picking up terminology and words from English to refer to certain things of our time. Now, is it impossible for Norwegian to come up with its own terms? No. So what is the problem? The problem is not with language. It's with the Norwegian people. I don't blame the language, I always blame the people. Because those humans, those people could sit down and develop a certain terminology and make it known to the world that these are our terms. For example, I'll give you some examples from Arabic. There is an Arabic Academy of Sciences and Technologies that is using and referring to things in science and technology using Arabic words. It's not impossible. Well, why did we decide to call that thing a camera and not a donkey? It could be a donkey. That's a donkey. So what? It's arbitrary. The person who coined the term decided to call it that. And from that moment, it went into books and dictionaries, and it became used. And that is what we call in linguistics the arbitrariness of language. So basically, there is no language that is not capable of expressing complicated thoughts and feelings and processes and things. Okay? Because all languages are the product of human minds and human socioeconomic contexts. Therefore, you could contribute by maybe studying a little bit about Norwegian and come up with some terms from that language, and it becomes the word for that technical term in English.
I agree with you, except insofar as the words have already been established in English, so when they're imported, they make communication easier. I mean, they've been Norwegianized, which I think is a different issue. I mean, they're particularly from critical theory, they have been, which is a different issue than in Norwegian. We've just used the English word weekend, even though we have a word for that. We just choose to use the word weekend anyway.
Yes.
And we've Norwegianized it by putting our definite articles on the end of it, which is a whole other sort of importation than the one that I was thinking of.
I think not only Norwegian, but many other languages are very pragmatic when it comes to these things, because English now is the international language, is the dominant language in the world, with no question, as was the case with Arabic. When the world spoke Arabic, I just had that program, I don't know if you saw it or not, but you didn't probably see that. There is a series of lectures and presentations on that that will be going through the Arabic program. The world spoke Arabic at a certain time. It's not something strange to me. So, well, it's English. Now it's the turn for English to do that. And maybe down the road another language will come up. Maybe Chinese, maybe Spanish, who knows? There are only 4 languages in the world, according to research, that are going to be, and they are already, dominating the scene in all aspects. Chinese, English, Arabic, and Spanish. I'm sorry for French and German and the other. I'm sorry, Alex. But that's the truth. That's the bitter truth about this. And those 4 languages are already there because they are dominating the scene in politics and economy and technology and everything. So, yes, sir.
So when you talk about preserving a language, does that include protecting it from the intrusion of these words or allowing it to evolve? Because
No, not necessarily. If you adopt certain terms, and again, those terms will undergo the phonological and morphological changes. By the nature of that language, they will sound Arabic or they will sound English. Let me tell you something. English already did this, but we just forgot. For example, you guys speak Arabic, don't you, Dean Brown, speak Arabic?
Not a lot, no.
No, you do, sir.
I keep telling you.
No, let me explain to him. You do because your numeracy is Arabic.
It's true.
His literacy is in English, but his numeracy is in Arabic. Another thing, during the Renaissance for the West is different from the Renaissance in the East. There are 2 Renaissances, if you will. During the Renaissance in the West, what happened is that the East, including the Islamic civilization, has already done the job to bring the human civilization to where it should be by making some breakthroughs in science and math and all these essential sciences. Sociology, Ibn Khaldun, for example. Who's here from sociology? Sir, yes. You know Abdurrahman ibn Khaldun? Al-Muqaddimah?
Some of his work.
Some of his work. He's a founder of sociology.